Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. We got some Ripple news courtesy of Michael Branch here. Wall Street is quietly loading up on XRP as these payment rails are going live. It feels like it's been forever. But guys, the proof is in the pudding. Wall Street is actually loading up on XRP. XRP remains one of the top cryptocurrencies in 2025. Its adoption is growing as big institutions use it in traditional finance, while the XRP ledger makes transactions faster and cheaper, boosting its popularity. XRP is one of the digital currencies that can be used for payments, obviously, settlement, and cross-border transactions. And guys, now we have a list of more than 60 companies, including SBI, Trident, Weebus, Vivo Power, Logistics, Nature's Miracle, Hyperscale, Flora, and Worksport. They have all either filed or announced plans to create XRP reserves. So, some of these companies I don't think I've even heard of, or maybe I did hear of them when it came out and I'm just forgetting. This mirrors early Bitcoin treasury strategies, but slightly better, with a payments and utility focus rather than just a store of value. Groups like Armada 2 and Arrington Capital are entering through SPACs, which are special purpose acquisition companies, specifically to focus on the XRP ecosystem. It reduces reliance on just holding the token and incorporates XRP into the corporate and financial architecture itself. And, that actually sounds smarter. It's smarter in a lot of ways than just holding a cryptocurrency as a store of value. Crypto experts are also expecting the national XRP reserve. In early 2025, President Donald Trump announced his plans to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve alongside Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and XRP. The authorities, though, refrained from explicitly mentioning XRP in the reserve, but the crypto enthusiasts took it as a hint that the U.S. is creating a new payment system with XRP. And I wouldn't put it past them to include other American-made cryptocurrencies like Cardano's ADA, for example. So ETFs and Wall Street entry, perhaps the biggest signal of XRP's rise is Wall Street's move towards ETFs. At least 10 big firms have filed for an XRP exchange-traded fund. In July, the SEC approved ProShares Ultra XRP ETF on the NYSE ARCA. That is now officially the first listing, but applications for 21 shares, Grayscale, Bitcoin, Canary Capital, and others remain pending. We're waiting for those approvals as soon as October. And I think, in a lot of cases, this is when we're expecting. I think for a lot of us, we're really expecting either for XRP to start pumping in October or for XRP to start pumping leading up to October. And in my mind, I could see that happening as a front running for XRP. How high is it going to get? Well, many factors are involved in how I'm predicting price action for XRP. And you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel if you're interested in seeing where I think the market's going to go. The one thing that I'm not going to do this time around is round trip my XRP. I thought back in 2021 it was going to go higher than $1.96. And unfortunately, I did not sell out any of it. Had I sold, I would have made a nice chunk of change and I could have bought back in 2022. But I didn't do that. I think we were all expecting the price to go higher than $1.96. This time around, I'm not making the same mistake. I'm going to be taking action. And if you want to follow along and just to see what I'm doing, patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Anyway, wanted to thank Michael for posting that. Guys, I also happen to see this. This is brand new news from Stern Drew. Ripple just went global through the back door. While the world was distracted, Ripple quietly invested in TazzaPay, a Singapore-based payments giant moving $10 billion annually. So guys, this is the most recent partnership that Ripple now has with another company, TazzaPay, a leading global cross-border payment infrastructure platform. Today announced their successful close of their Series B funding round. And Ripple was one of those funders. TazzaPay provides seamless local collection and payout capabilities in over 70 markets, supporting a growing base of global enterprises and platforms across industries. TazzaPay processes more than $10 billion in annualized payment volume and has reached operational break-even and is growing at 300% year over year. So a big deal for TazzaPay. They have differentiated the cutting-edge product offering that their clients value with breadth and depth. The platform delivers comprehensive coverage across alternative payment methods, so cards, virtual bank accounts, payouts, and stablecoins, combined with institutional-grade security and compliance across multiple jurisdictions, and a robust fiat bridge for stablecoin settlement in emerging markets. TazzaPay offers an unparalleled solution for global businesses. And if you were wondering, the company is already licensed in Singapore, Canada, and the EU, and will use this new funding to accelerate their licensing roadmap across key global markets. Applications are underway for licenses in the UAE, US, Hong Kong, Australia, and for digital payment tokens for their Singapore license. So, guys, big news here for TazaPay. Why it's so big? Stern Drew here with a bit of a tweet thread. So, they offer cross-border payments. It's an infrastructure platform, local collections and payouts, virtual bank accounts, fiat to stablecoin payment rails, as we covered. But it's not crypto native. It's bank facing, and this is where Ripple's jumping in. Okay, they have 10 billion annualized volume, growing 300% year over year, expanding into the US, UK, UAE, Hong Kong, Japan, Australia. They're already licensed. Ripple isn't investing in hype. It's locking itself into a compliant last mile rail for global trade. And Stern Drew is suggesting that this is a strategic play for Ripple. Ripple's biggest challenge has never been the tech. It's always been that last mile access. And so we're probably, seeing these types of partnerships, or we're going to see more of these moving forward because of that exact reason. How do you turn XRP liquidity into payouts at a bank in Jakarta, Lagos, or Mumbai? The answer is TazaPay. It bridges local fiat systems and stablecoins with RippleNet. This deal wasn't just Ripple, it also included Circle, so that's also very important to note, because they're quietly building a two-pronged stablecoin plus XRP liquidity grid that makes SWIFT obsolete and irrelevant. So Ripple's SVP, he said he called TazaPay a clear leader in compliant corridors. Translation, Ripple doesn't have to fight regulators anymore. It plugs XRP directly into licensed pipes. So look at some of the regions, and I named some of those already: Singapore, UAE, Japan, US. Ripple and TazaPay isn't regional. It's a full spectrum coverage of the world's liquidity hotspots. And then the bigger picture, SWIFT moves about $150 trillion a year. Ripple doesn't need to replace it head on. By embedding into companies like TazaPay, Ripple builds parallel corridors until one day the world wakes up and realizes they're already using XRP rails. And so, this goes to the whole idea that Ripple is going to be taking 14%, according to Brad Garlinghouse, 14% of Swift's business by the year 2030. If you guys didn't catch the video I did on that, Brad Garlinghouse said it himself. I'll link it up here. Ripple investing in TazaPay is not a headline. It's a warning shot. They're not building crypto products. They are wiring the global financial reset, one licensed corridor at a time. So that all sounds like very, very positive news there. Wanted to thank Stern Drew for that. Guys, I also happen to see this from Leonidas. Heat score all-time high for Ripple as per Crunchbase. Now, I don't know if you guys remember from back in February, the heat score was only in around, growth score was 87, but the heat score was in and around 60 for XRP. And again, that was February. Now, guys, of course, the max is 100. Now it's up to 96. Heat score measures market interest, prominence of a company based on profile activity and presence in the media. So the higher the score, the more likely the company is attracting attention from investors, partners, and competitors. And this is from a third-party source, Crunchbase. And they're saying, guys, heat score is at 96, whereas the growth score is at 95 for XRP, or rather for Ripple, excuse me. So Ripple is definitely in the sights of institutions. They all want to keep it quiet, though. Nobody is saying it. Notice I bring you guys these news articles, and it seems like we kind of have to do some preliminary connecting of the dots. No matter what article it is, we have to say, okay, well, this is a partner of Ripple. That was confirmed, a few years ago, and now this company is doing this with that company. Some of it, I think, is speculation, but some of it, I think, just proves where this technology is going and who is going to be the leader. So, I wanted to thank Leonidas for that. And they don't want us rich. Trust me, they do not want us plebes to get rich. Here's another clip that I wanted to share with you guys. Versan and Vandel with Francis Hunt talking about the crypto market and markets in general. Listen to this.
Central banks won't be selling all that
they're buying the gold right now.
They are net accumulators. So they'll buy on the fear of everybody else having to get out.
Speaking of corrections, I'm sorry, Francis, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm talking a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a quick question. What's interesting is I noticed in 2022, 2023, and 2024, Q3 actually brought some slight turbulence and pullback within Bitcoin or the markets. So speaking of your anticipation of a destructive event or correction, we're talking Q3, correct? So it seems like there's some sort
Q3,
of pattern.
beginning Q4, yeah, because we kind of, it's September, October, it sort of bridges the two, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Very interesting. It's almost like it's by design.
It is.
I mean, because there's a clear pattern here since 2022, 2023, 2024. And if it remarkably happens this year, which is, it seems like it really could play out like that, that's what your analysis is telling you, then certainly I think there would be some sort of, and what do you think? Some sharp V-shaped recovery to take us to that next, I guess you could say, leg up?
I remember a video we did that went very strongly viral, and I said, remember, they don't want you to make the money on crypto. They need
Oh,
to
yes,
flush
of
you
course.
out of those positions before they pump it. They have to.
They have to hollow
There's
you
this
out.
opportunity. They can't stop most people from potentially participating. They are shrinking down the traditional financial services, this debt-based collapse. They are busy getting all the Bitcoin maxis to do copycat strategy companies where they'll all go get leverage, support the USDT treasury buying, get into Tether, buy Bitcoin. So they're all going to do the copycat. They're going to be the liquidity for the OGs, NSA, CIA guys getting out.
And the rest is history. We need to be on the right side of the trade. We want to be trading against the exit liquidity, the FOMOers, right? And they try tooth and nail to get us out. They try to squeak us out any way they can. And guys, this is why we buy low, sell high, and why we have to be smart about what our targets are going to be for this particular bull run. Again, you can find all that out at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel if you're interested in following me and what I'm doing for this particular bull run. So wanted to thank Vandell, wanted to thank Leonidas, wanted to thank Stern Drew, who I already thanked, and Michael Branch too. Now, guys, I also happen to see this from Smoke. This is new. This is just in from this month, August 2025. Basel Committee letter highlights XRP as a group of 2A liquidity compliant crypto assets for global banks. Check this out. This is a document just put out to the Basel Committee on Banking, August 19, 2025, Bank for International Settlement. So this is a big update here, big milestone. Group 2 crypto assets must meet 3 hedging recognition criteria to be classified as Group 2A. Under the current criteria, only Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple's XRP, Solana, and Dogecoin qualify as Group 2. So, guys, it's XRP and only a handful of other cryptocurrencies. Need I remind you, XRP helps banks meet Basel III liquidity requirements by streamlining reserves into one bridge asset. This reduces reliance on multiple Nostro accounts, cuts FX and treasury costs, and simplifies liquidity management. And guys, this is all documented below from years ago. Teleporting gold. Why should banks care? Because Ripple plans to use XRP to solve their liquidity problems. And now we're living in a world where that is becoming more and more of a reality. And they say here this is happening with Basel III. Ripple's big idea is to use XRP once its market cap gets high enough and is being traded heavily enough to provide banks with liquidity on demand. And guys, this is why we're hoping we're going to see the real world utility kick in as the market becomes more liquid. Economic implementations of a universal bridge asset. So banks currently incur significant infrastructure costs processing cross-border payments. Employing Ripple and XRP can help banks eliminate or lower these costs. And then it gives you guys some examples of that. Down here, the last one was Basel III LCR, the opportunity cost to the sending institution of holding lower yields. Or lower yielding high quality liquid assets as designed by pending Basel III regulations against credit exposure during the in-flight period. So we're seeing all this moving towards a reality where, even the professor at the University of Basel said Ripple has a good chance of replacing parts of the existing financial infrastructure. And here's another one from Smoke. These are all Smoke tweets. So big researcher here in the XRP community. Whenever it is possible to unify protocols and interfaces and to make the synchronization of joint databases more efficient, then this should definitely be done. Examples of strongly centralized systems are names like Ripple or some other projects like the R3 consortium. From my perspective, both have a good chance of replacing parts of the existing financial infrastructure. So DLT technology, and again, this is an older paper, but we have been seeing the iteration of this. We have been seeing Ripple continuously build and continuously trudge new paths, becoming that new financial leader, becoming the liquidity provider using XRP. Bill Morgan here commenting, though, perhaps you should have highlighted the first paragraph on page 1 of this document here. So just commenting on Smoke's original document, saying that this is putting a temporary pause on some of these cryptocurrencies. So Committee on Banking Supervision temporarily pause implementation of these crypto asset exposures. So even though they are putting a pause, they are considering these assets as the assets that are going to be utilized. But yeah, I should point out, Bill does have a point here. They are putting it on pause for now, and probably because the due diligence still needs to be put in place before it is fully implemented. He says implementation is set for January the 1st, 2026, but it could be delayed. So guys, I guess we'll still just have to wait and see. Nevertheless, Professor Ripple Effect commenting, he gives a bigger breakdown of this. Okay, read below to learn the IIF, GFMA, ISDA, SIFMA, BPI, FSF, FIA, GBBC, and GDF all have signed a formal request to loosen the rules on these Group 2 crypto assets. So despite the fact that they're putting a pause on it, they have all signed a request to loosen these rules, okay? XRP is in the Group 2A today. Could it be Tier 1 tomorrow? On August the 19th, the Basel Committee published updated standards on crypto asset exposures. According to Basel, XRP currently qualifies as Group 2A crypto assets alongside those other cryptos. That means it's liquid, traded on regular exchanges, and has derivatives and ETFs available. But here's the interesting part. Basel cap banks crypto exposure at about 1 to 2% of their Tier 1 capital. In other words, bank measures their XRP risk directly against the safest reserves in the banks. While this doesn't make XRP a Tier 1 asset today, it creates a regulatory bridge. Why some people believe XRP could evolve into a Tier 1 liquidity asset based on knowledge and speculative yet logical reasoning, not financial advice, of course, from Jake Claver. He's argued that XRP could become a Tier 1 asset. So the logic behind that, ISO 20022 compliant, right? It's got settlement liquidity, it's got collateral potential, liquidity maturity, and regulatory alignment. And the push for global institutions, I'm going to get to that part in a second. I wanted to play you guys this clip of Jake Claver that Professor Ripple Effect posted here. Listen to this.
So when that happens, XRP, I start to see it rise. My account's going, should I liquidate? Will it come back down once it's all stabilized, or will it remain that high and higher?
It'll remain that high and higher. And the reason for that is there'll be enough liquidity in it, like we talked about before, for these counterparties that settle transactions to do that all day long, but use XRP. So Swift settles $5 trillion a day. If that volume moves onto the network when XRP is $100, it'll stay there. If they start settling the back end of the stock market, which is $5 to $6 trillion a day, now we have more demand, and it's going to move to another price and stay there because it's got sustained demand and volume from the settlement of those networks and those markets.
And it just becomes the new global financial system.
I think it'll be a Tier 1 asset in the banking system and be highly, highly valuable.
So I should buy some more XRP.
Well, I mean, that's the idea. That's what I've been doing over the last few years. So that brings us back to the Basel Committee and recalibrating Group 2A assets. So the signatories include, and I mentioned all those signatories, they have already signed on to this, guys. They want to recognize Group 2 assets as eligible collateral, and that's on page 13 of the report. Consider treatment of Group 2 crypto assets since they trade actively on regulatory exchanges. Ease the strict 1 to 2% cap on Tier 1 asset capital exposure, and recalibrate risks of that as well. So are banks already lining this up? Basel explicitly ties XRP exposure to Tier 1 capital markets. Basel itself has said it will monitor and potentially recalibrate framework as adoption grows. So simply put, says Professor Ripple Effect, says the rules are already anchoring XRP to Tier 1 capital measures, and the biggest trade groups in global finance that want those rules relaxed to make assets like XRP much more usable. That doesn't guarantee XRP will be upgraded, but it strongly suggests the groundwork has been laid. Bottom line, today, XRP does equal a Group 2A high-risk crypto asset. Tomorrow, with regulatory recalibration and adoption, it could be reclassified and even traded as a Tier 1 crypto asset. Think about how this is going to change price demand for XRP. As Jake Claver did mention there, once we do have more settlement structures being processed over XRP, like let's say it is trading the entire American stock market, the price will rise up to that needed level it needs to be at in order to sustain demand, and then it'll stabilize there. So we could in fact see XRP go up to $100 stabilize there, then up to $500 stabilize there, then maybe up to $1,000 and eventually stabilize there. The future is still yet to be written, but it's looking pretty promising for XRP holders. That's just my opinion. And for more opinions on where I think the market's going to go, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Going to be holding a live Q&A event this Saturday, so check it out. If you guys are not signed up yet, we're getting to the end of the month, and the Working Money Channel merch store is still offering 15% until the end of August. So if you guys are interested in purchasing some Working Money Channel merch, you know where to go. Link is in the description of the video. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.